Yep, 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 yep. What's up, party people? Let's get into this. Hope the week is going good. We're just about on the hump, man. It's Wednesday. But what I want to do, man, is get into this real quick. Thank you for checking me out. This is Last Call Reacts, where I just concentrate on one topic. As opposed to the live where I cover at least three or have a conversation with somebody else. This is something that just, making its rounds on the intertubes, and I just have a little bit more of an opinion on it. This is kind of like a continuation to something that I did. I always mess that up like that. On the zero accountability. If you haven't checked out that video, I think it was last week or maybe close to 2 weeks ago, but it's time for this one. And it was about Umar and his daughter, that little bit of interaction between the two. But I found this, which I don't think is new. It's just been kind of surfacing lately. And I happened to catch something from it, a little soundbite that I thought was interesting. So yeah, this was about 3 months ago, but based on recent events with this fool Umar, it's become popular, and I guess in people's algorithms and stuff like that. This is all I want to do with this one, man. I want to draw that line in the sand. Because I think, let me just play it and I'll stop where I need to stop. So obviously you see that this is Nick Cannon and now his new show, which is called Council Culture, as in council, the meeting or advisement sort of deal. And he has Umar on here. And there's a couple things I don't like already. And you know what? I'm truly, I may not be all the time, but I truly try to stay objective on at least the materials and who Umar is as a person. But there's certain things that you just can't ignore when you see in here. And one thing I could tell about this interview, I don't like the admiration Nick has for Umar and Umar has for Nick. It's very superficial. You could tell these guys wouldn't chill in the same room if they weren't somewhat in the same business, with the same sort of objective in mind, which is to get ads, to get notoriety, to get viewers, all that sort of stuff. They're both playing the game. They're both fooling each other, and they're both afraid to dig deeper into the topics of their lives. So with this particular thing, Nick just finished talking about, his numerous wives and babies and what people call him, so on and so forth. And this is the problem these types of dudes have. When they have problems and there's zero accountability, and instead of looking at themselves, they want to group themselves with people who don't really have similar problems, or they're avoiding it by lumping themselves with these superficial things, blaming the other, but the victim blaming. They're always the victim. Nobody sees it their way. But anyway, I want to get into this part of the um interview because it's very telling, and I want to comment on it. So here we go.
My bad. But Dr. Umar Johnson, I gotta get my lick back, man.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We cut from the same cloth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You ain't too different from me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been there. And when I go back into my romantic history, when I look at the mothers of my two children,
Same mom, different?
different mom, one daughter here, one daughter here.
And as people who are somewhat kind of follow the situation, we know that he very well could have more kids, maybe up to 4, so that he claims. He wasn't even trying to claim the other one until it came out publicly, right? When Nick says that they're cut from the same cloth and whatnot, it's not the cloth he thinks they're cut from. It's not a good cloth. It's not from ethics. It's not from good morals. It's not as upstanding good black men. It's scammers, show business, superficial and fickle means. that they operate on, that they hope to create the illusion that others follow. But here we go.
I could have married either one,
Mm.
but it would not have been because I thought I should have. It would have been because they were the mothers of my children.
Now, what the hell does that mean to you? He was going to marry them because he didn't want to marry them because he didn't want it to be, he thought that's what he should do. He just said exactly the same shit.
Married either one,
Mm.
but it would not have been because I thought I should have.
Not because
It would have been because they were the mothers of my children. My daughter.
Now, this tells you a delusional mind state. It's not always a love story. You know that. I know that. Chances are 99% of us enter this world not because of God's plan or our parents. Our parents may have planned to have kids somewhere down the road, but chances are, especially if you're the first in the family, you're the reason why your parents got married. You know that, right? Because you had to do the right thing. You may not have laid down that plan in the first place, but something happened. You know, you were having a little too much fun together, but that pregnancy makes you tighten up your shoes, go straight laced, and walk down maybe a different path than you saw for yourself at that time because you want to do the responsible thing as two adults, as two maybe parents, soon to be parents, to bring this child into the world. Whoops.
His mothers felt they should have become my wife purely due to pregnancy.
Mm.
And I told them I would not make a decision, a lifelong decision about who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with purely based on pregnancy.
So he got two women pregnant, two different times. So it shows no growth in his mentality, right? And he is bothered that these women wanted to do the right thing with one man and raise a child within a family. Mr. Pro-Black family, this Pan-African is against that for some reason. Let's hear his reason.
I said we can continue to explore, to date. I would like to move in with you. We have to learn more about each other before we decide to.
Now, what kind of teenage ass backwards shit is that? So after you have the baby, you want to get to know her. So I know relationships could start at a club. I know some people married having the longest one night relationship of their life. But the whole point of dating, getting to know somebody, taking them out, meeting their friends, their family, so that you eventually meet that point that, maybe a child would come along the way, brings you guys even closer to house, home, family. You lay out your family, and then you raise that child together. So he's talking about you have a child, and then, oh, let me get to know you. Even as a scammer, as a man, for other people who follow this idiot, you need to really check your manhood on this one. If you still hear this dude talking like a child and you're still like, no, this is my dude, he's going to make the school and I believe everything he says. And there are some people that jump on here and talk shit about his daughter who just came out to find her siblings and stuff, holding her own when she's out here against all the idiots. It really shows you the mentality, not even the mentality, the sad, poor state of men. And yes, some black men. And this isn't me trying to coddle up to women or do right by women. As a man, dude, you should know to stand up and do what's right. This is all he's saying right here is making excuses on avoiding his accountability and avoiding manning up. And if you see it as anything otherwise, you are half a man yourself. You're not even a man yourself. If you're championing this on, you're on some whack shit. If you're letting this fool speak these words, if you're watching the same video I'm watching right now, but you are like, no, I get what he's saying, and you try to lump in your mess with the garbage that he's saying, you're on that shit that misery loves company. Not that he's doing anything righteous or anything he's saying right now is righteous. Does that sound right to you? He went out, somehow finesse the women into sleeping with him, because clearly he's saying he didn't court anybody. He didn't take them out the traditional way to any dinner or meet their family, their friends. They got into this situation. So he convinced the woman to sleep with her, had the result of unprotected sex. He probably got all sorts of STDs or whatever. But guess what? You're lucky if you don't get any STDs, but you can't return the baby after, right? After a certain point, at least. And he didn't even look back to raise a kid after 18 years, 16 years, 22 years. And this is his excuse because they tried to bully him to get married. What a punk. What a sissy ass punk. This is your dude. This is your dude. Anyway, let's hear the rest of this.
Spend the rest of our lives together.
Mm.
And they arrogantly said, it ain't going to work that way.
Mm.
I need to be your wife, and I need to be your wife now. Had they been a little bit more patient and humble with me, either one, they would have became my wife. I don't know if they know that.
They were arrogant, and he looks at himself as a prize. You are not a man. This is so not a man. He's speaking as though, and Nick to not stop that. You know what? This is just a fluff piece, just some bullshit. And this is like, what did I say? 3-4 months old. If you're looking at this and this is still your dude, yo, what kind of man are you, dude? What kind of man are you to try to extinguish a young woman's flame, trying to connect with her family, trying to fill a void and answer questions that he left by leaving the situation? So it's not only that he didn't decide that he didn't want to get married. I mean, I guess that's fine if you know you're not going to be a good husband, if you're going to be a piece of shit. But you also decide not to pay child support and be in that child's life due to even more of your reckless actions. Dude, this is that line where it says, you more of a bitch than a bitch. Umar's a bitch, like a real straight up diva ass bitch. Play a little bit more of this before I get rid of it.
They know it now because they're going to see this.
Right.
If they would have just been a little bit more respectful of where I was coming from, they would have got married. I would have married either one because they were the mothers of my daughter.
And where are you coming from? You finessed them, got them pregnant, and then you wanted all these standards like you were having the baby? Right there, this is a grown ass baby that doesn't understand manhood and what to do as the head of a household, the head of a family, the head of a relationship, and taking leadership in the situation that at least you helped create. But you created it together. And then you ran because you couldn't have everything on your terms. And you got the nerve to sit there? Come on now. It makes me question both these fools.
Now, the same way you throw things at me in the sense
Yes,
of narcissistic tendencies, and even a statement like, because a lot would take the statement that you just made as, okay, that's coming from someone who is rooted in narcissistic tendencies, toxic masculinity, of you making the choice and all of these things. And now, even at this point, looking not just for one wife, but possibly two wives to fulfill
My
you.
desire for two wives, though, is not based on personal need. It's based on political need.
Protect your wealth by spending physical gold, not paper money that grows weaker by the...
Sorry about that. I don't have the premium. Here we are back.
Let me explain. Let me explain. Let's go to a pastor at a church, right?
So now this is actually a good place to cut that off. He wants to explain why he should have two wives and the function of them. And then he'll further go on by saying he doesn't know a man who only has one. He's trying to paint himself as this super masculine, that others are needy. You know, the simp culture. If you have this one woman, these are not the people to follow. I feel sorry for you if you look at this interview and you're satisfied with what you heard, much less if you even picked up pointers on how to run your own life. This is not good. This is not us. This is not manhood. This is just another thing that I saw that was resurfacing as this whole fiasco is going around. Fair Use Act don't strike me, or I'll just cut it out if you want me to do that. But I believe people need to see this who are ignoring who this guy is as he makes his rounds. Obviously, he makes his rounds. He makes a grip doing these fucking podcasts and everything like that as well. People want to seem to have him on, but people want to seem to have him on without doing their due diligence. And it really makes you think, people who do the circuits here on podcasts, what type of people and what type of bullshit they have going on, where they know it's just floating in there, but they need to get that bag and leave that in the stratosphere, not go too deep. It's like they understand the game. It's a certain game. They play it. They're willing to play it. And most of them are willing to be played. They really don't care about the perception or truth or anything on the outside of that. So, man, I saw this, and I mean, I'm disappointed in a lot of shit this guy has to say, but to actually hear those words come out of his mouth, to actually think he's smart enough, and maybe he is for some of you guys, to say these things and convince you that his actions and his mentality isn't something else. He's just a bum. What he just told you about, oh, I could have married this one, blah, 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 but the women didn't humble themselves. But you were probably begging like a motherfucker to sleep with both of them in the first place. You probably begged your way into some pussy. I'm sorry to say it like that, but he probably did. He's the type to get it all pathetic and stuff and be like, all right, I got to hit this guy off so he just gets the hell out of my place. He's that dude. He's that begging ass dude, and then want to sit up there all proud about what they should have done with his DNA inside. Fucking make me man up, dude. Fucking Roy Ayers just passed. One guy who sampled his music, Ed O.G., Be a Father to Your Child, right? They sampled it again. Damn, be a father to your child. Man up. This should be so excusable. If you were on the fence with this fool, if you didn't know about him, if you've been following and you still not looking at him sideways after this, yo, this should do it. This should tell you what type of person this is. And by the way, that no goddamn school is coming. Golly, man. Anyway, there's more to that interview. You could check it out. But this is the piece. This is the sound clip. The ad, the interview that you should use to really start at least asking questions or really push you to the side of turning against this guy or ignoring this guy. He's a persona. He's a personality. He's nothing of substance. He hasn't had a job for like 25 years, like for real. Stop putting this dude on, man. Shit. Until he proves himself or until he humbles himself. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Do me a favor before you leave me here today. Like my stuff, share my stuff, and do me a favor and subscribe. I do one of these reacts a week, and I do a live, most likely on Friday, once a week. I drop little shorts, videos, musics, digging in the crate, that sort of stuff. So, man, do me a favor. Subscribe. Costs you nothing. And it motivates me to make more of these things and share my opinion and learn a little bit more so I could share interesting insight on what it is I have to say. So certainly appreciate you guys coming out and listening to me. Again, do me a favor, drop that subscribe. Appreciate you. Peace.